Wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on!
We're not going to the Super Bowl.
Hey, who's we? Niners still got a chance. But no, we're not talking about Super Bowl right now. We're talking Packers, Niners, Lambeau Field. We got Tom Brady, Kevin Burkhardt on the call for Fox, the number one crew. All eyes going to be on Kyle Shanahan, his old coaching buddy from his days over in Washington, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. But will Brock Purdy be available? That's starting to become a concern as he was limited again in practice. Kyle Shanahan spoke to the media about it yesterday, and I should say in a radio interview, and he's just playing the cards close to the vest. I don't know what to garner from what he was talking about there in regards to, he felt a little bit better the next day, but he's still going to shut down halfway through practice. He didn't continue throwing. And from reports, it sounds like he just stopped because he couldn't do it anymore. Now, we still got 48 hours until that game over in Green Bay, but weather-wise, as I look up Lambeau Field weather right now at 1265 Lombardi Avenue in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you're looking at mid-30s to low 40s. Cold. Doesn't look like there's any rain in the forecast. Doesn't look like there's any snow in the forecast, but it's going to be cold. And if he's dealing with a sore shoulder, I just wonder how much Shanahan really wants to put him in a situation where they might not be able to throw the ball. And if that's the case, they're going to go to a backup that gives them a better chance to win this Sunday. Now, is it going to be Brandon Allen? Is it going to be Josh Dobbs? I mean, I don't get why you would start Brandon Allen over Josh Dobbs other than, the system. Well, Josh Dobbs literally came into a system that he knew nothing about, the Kevin O'Connell system last year with the Minnesota Vikings. By the way, similar to the Kyle Shanahan offense. And he did pretty damn good. I think we all remember just how good Josh Dobbs, he kind of had a little Linsanity moment last year. Dobbs, the pastronaut. I think at one point, and yes, I'll take the L on this one. I think at one point I texted the group chat, and Sam can attest to this. It was Sunday Night Football. Who are they playing? They were playing the Denver Broncos, I want to say, the Minnesota Vikings. They ended up losing the game, but they were winning at halftime. I was like, you know what? Josh Dobbs might be a top 4 quarterback in the NFC right now. The way he was playing. And then, of course, as I said that, the wheels fell off. They lost to the Broncos. They went on a little losing streak. He gets benched for Nick Mullins in a game against the Raiders, in which the final score, I believe, was 3-0 or 6-3. No one can score. No one. Let me look up that game. It was ridiculous. Vikings, Raiders. Here we go. And no, not preseason. 3-0. That was it. 3-0. Yeah, Nick Mullins had to come in relief there. It didn't end well. But he's a backup quarterback. So if Brock Purdy can't go,
player. I am a system.
Thank you. He is the system.
I am the system of this show.
God, I love Goo. Josh Dobbs or Brandon Allen? Well,
Scar.
First and foremost, by the way, shout out to Sharkies. Scar. Another win. They're just, you know what? They said to hell with tanking. We're going to win the whole damn thing. Now, I don't need to check the standings, but I'm pretty sure they're still probably in last in the Western Conference. But we're not going to talk about that. Because you know what? The Browns, they're last, right? In the AFC North. And what they do last night on Thursday Night Football. Exposed the Steelers. And yes, I feel vindicated by my take yesterday. How is anyone taking the Steelers seriously in the AFC? The answer is no. Please. Oh, but the snow. Oh, please. Lost to Jameis Winston. Okay? Jameis is a backup. And by the way, Jameis, and yes, he's looked better than Deshaun Watson, but that was a low bar. Jameis sneakily has beaten 2 division rivals now. The Ravens and Lamar, and the Steelers with Russ Wilson. Hey, Browns, don't let them get hot. Nah, that was actually a huge win for a multitude of teams trying to jockey for position to draft Shedeur Sanders number 1 overall. I think the leader in the clubhouse right now is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then you got the Giants, you got the Titans, then you got the Raiders now. So the Browns bumped themselves out of the top 5 as the tank for Shedeur has started. Although I don't know if the Browns are going to draft him, have all that money allocated to Deshaun Watson. It's going to be interesting how things happen. If the Jacksonville Jaguars end up with the number 1 overall pick, I'm assuming they're trading it because you're invested in Trevor Lawrence at this point with all that money and that contract. And they can get a haul and kind of retool and, refocus going forward with a new regime seemingly coming in when, and it's not a matter of if, it's when Doug Peterson and co. get fired. Now, is Trent Baalke going to survive this one? He's a cockroach. That guy survives things. Or like, what is it they say about cockroaches? Like nuclear blasts. They can survive as cockroaches and Twinkies. Yeah. Well, Trent Baalke's a Twinkie when it comes to that. He survives. Multiple head coach changes. He was there for Urban Meyer. He's there for Dougie P now. Who's going to be the third one? Or is Shad Khan, the owner, just going to clean house and put his son in charge, Tony? Or is he too busy with AEW? We're all over the place this morning, but it's a feel-good Friday. It's a payday Friday. It's raining out there. It's wet. Please be safe driving. If you're just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, 888-957-9570. Niners, Packers this Sunday. Thank you, Trent. And you can Google it and Google the Odyssey app. Download that bad boy, favorite 95.7 The Game, because it is free. It is real. It is spectacular. Also find us on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. We got 1 hour here, the pregame show, Joe Spadoni, before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They're fired up. And a reason why they're fired up, because one of the greatest wide receivers of all time called out a current 49er wide receiver yesterday on the Morning Roast. Terrell Owens on Deebo Samuel. Take a listen.
Deebo is not really playing up to Deebo standards. Deebo seems like he's more focused on his pregame attire than he is actually the game. So again, if we can shift that focus, maybe that can energize and create some more production, from an offensive standpoint. I'm just kind of tongue in cheek with that.
Well, Deebo responded on X. T.O. Cut it out, fam. And then there's a ninja emoji. And for those of you in the know, you know what ninja means. And no, we're not talking Ninja Gaiden. Great game. I found it very difficult as a young child. And as I get older, it's not that hard. 888-957-9570. Good morning to all of you on the Comcast Business text line. From the... hey, pet peeve, by the way, on the Comcast Business text line. When people are texting in, but they have the automatic response that sends immediately, do not disturb, I'm driving or something like that. It's turn that off if you're texting into a show. What are we doing? And yes, 415, I'm calling you out. Turn those notifications off because I don't want to get spammed. All right? No one wants that. Fade the Dippers, Certified G. Did Certified G, did he take the Steelers yesterday? Oh, no. So did Goo and his Prize Picks. It's a tough scene. I don't touch Thursday night football games. They're still especially divisional games on Thursday night football. Anything could happen on games like that. So am I shocked that the Steelers lost yesterday? No, I'm not. Because I don't believe in them as true AFC contenders. You have a good defense all you want. I need to trust the quarterback in the red zone. And I'm taking Josh Allen over them. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over them. And yes, I know Steelers have had ownage on Lamar Jackson when it comes to the playoff time. But yes, I'm still taking Lamar in a playoff scenario against them. So they're batting fourth right now when it comes to AFC contenders. In my book, we'll see if that can change. I don't know if they have any really tough games left on their schedule other than divisional games, which, again, it's a tough season for them in the AFC North. They got the Bengals next Sunday. It's going to be a huge game for both those teams. Bengals on life support. They might be done already. Then they get the Browns again at home. Eagles, so you got an in-state rivalry game, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia on December 15th. Should be a fun one. Then you got the Ravens again, Chiefs, Bengals. It's a brutal remaining schedule, actually. They had the cupcakes already, the Steelers. They had the Raiders. They had the Jets. They had the Giants. They had the Cowboys, which they lost to, by the way. But they had the Broncos early in the season when Bo Nix was booty. When the Chargers had lost, what's my guy? Justin Herbert. I can't think of his name. Or he was compromised at the very least in that game. They beat the Falcons in the first game of the season. So Not a lot of impressive victories outside of the Ravens one, which again is a team that you've owned. Yes, the Commanders win was a good win. Russ, when it mattered most, made the plays. Commanders, they might be taking a skid here too in a little bit. Well, we'll see. There's questions about Cliff Kingsbury and if his offense is becoming predictable out in Washington. I say all that to say this. It's nut up or shut up time in the NFL and for the San Francisco 49ers. This is the schedule for them remaining. You got the Green Bay Packers. You've got the Buffalo Bills. You've got the Chicago Bears. You've got the Los Angeles Rams, Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals to wrap up the season. Nothing easy remaining on the schedule. And don't even give me that the Bears is going to be easy because the Bears play good defense. And if you play good defense, especially against the Niners team, as we've seen, you're going to hang around. And this Sunday, there's a little revenge factor for Green Bay, who got bounced in the divisional round last year at Levi Stadium, where they felt like they were an Anders Carlson kick away from winning that thing. Jordan Love, quarterback of the Packers, talked about it.
Yeah, no, I think just ending the season, getting to the playoffs and, getting knocked out by the 49ers. I mean, whoever it would have been, that game is definitely going to sit with you. And, that's what you got to, kind of just sit with all offseason is going back, watching that game, kind of trying to see what you could have been better, what you could have done differently in that game. So it definitely sits with you through the offseason and then obviously move on. But, just knowing that that's the team that knocked us out, we're definitely hungry for this game.
They're hungry, and they just eked by their division rival, the Bears, after a blocked field goal attempt. Bears are cursed. God, just get rid of Eberflus. What are we doing? Just get rid of the guy. Caleb, it looked like he was finally in that Commanders game, which they ended up losing, but he had an incredible final drive. And he had an incredible final drive against the Packers to put them in a position to win. And it just looks like he's, regressed a little bit. They need an offensive guy to get in there. Is it going to be Ben Johnson? We'll see. That would be interesting, right? Staying in the NFC North, going up against your old team twice a year in the Detroit Lions. So we'll see there, as Zach Taylor likes to say. I love that drop, by the way.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We're not there yet.
They're not there yet. We'll see with the 49ers. They haven't been there yet all season long. They haven't beaten a team over 500, the San Francisco 49ers, which is just unfathomable. Unfathomable. There we go. We got it. We'll get there. It's November 22nd, 2024, the year of our Lord, and the San Francisco 49ers have not beaten a team with a winning record. It's pretty crazy. Now you can say, Spadoni at the time, the Seattle Seahawks, yeah, they had a winning record. Yeah, great. Did they even have a winning record at the time? I'm looking back now. Seahawks. Let me see whether in their schedule. Yeah, they were 3-3. Or they were 3-2, and then see, there you go. Yeah, so they ended up not being a winning team. So I'm not even giving them that. They've been a 500 team, basically, since you've seen them. What's the spread on this game? Oh, it's moved. It was 2.5. Packers, field goal favorite, -3, so some late money coming in on Green Bay. Is that in reference to what's going on with Brock Purdy's shoulder? Well, Cam Newton yesterday on the injury.
Shoulder sprain or whatever it is happened from a hit on Sunday, but Brock has not aired it out much over the last couple of weeks. He has not thrown a pass over 20 yards, I think, the last 2 games, and he hasn't thrown one over 25 yards since week 4. So it's like, what's going on? Are the receivers not getting open downfield? Does he not have time to do it? I don't suspect that there's a more serious injury to it. Let me put it that way, because if you go back, I think, 3 years ago, Jimmy Garoppolo hurt his shoulder against the Cowboys and then gutted through it, and their next 2 playoff games obviously didn't do great. So I don't think it's anything too serious, but at the same time, anytime it's a quarterback and an arm is involved, it's cause for concern.
It's cause for concern yesterday as he leaves practice a little bit early, or shuts down his throwing, I should say. So potentially no Brock Purdy. So we're looking at maybe no Brock Purdy and no Nick Bosa. Oh, boy. Can they win the game? Sure, anything can happen. Got to lean on your running attack. You got to lean on Christian McCaffrey. And you got to hope that the Packers aren't able to stop them, even though they're probably going to be stacking the box if it's against a Brandon Allen and daring him to throw, or a Josh Dobbs. The reason I like Josh Dobbs is he gives you a little bit more in the running attack. Now, I feel like he looks to run more than pass sometimes. But you might need that in this game. You might need to change some. You might need to, throw a curveball here if Brock Purdy can't go. Hopefully he can, and we're going to learn a lot today when Kyle Shanahan speaks to the media, and we'll have all that right here on 95.7 The Game when he says if Brock's good to go, if he's going to be questionable, if he's going to be a game-time decision. We'll see all of that. And speaking of panic meters, because if Brock Purdy can't go, the panic meter should be at an all-time high. And if you don't take my word for it, take Richard Sherman for it. 49ers All-Pro, and obviously future Hall of Famer.
Mitchell, my panic meter has been high since the Arizona Cardinals lost. So it can't go any higher. It's been high. I've been panicked. I've been concerned. I've lost sleep. I think my hair was falling out at times. Like, stressed. Because I don't know the answers. Usually I watch the tape and it's clear and you're like, hey, pass rushing, or hey, push the ball down the field, or turnovers, or red zone. And right now you're watching these games and you're like, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. It's like a Thanksgiving plate. Like, you got a little bit of everything. It's a taste of everything, a helping of all these mistakes that are leading to a plate full of disappointment.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. What is he, Lou Bega? A little bit of Monica in my life. Song's a banger. I don't care what anyone says. God, how old is that song now? 25 years? Jesus. Might be older than that. And yes, I'm dating myself because I was like 5 when that probably came out. 2000? Damn. Yeah, 24 years ago. And the new year's upon us, people. It's close. It's close. The San Francisco 49ers. They are a conundrum right now. And maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe we're just looking at a team that's just injured. They lost the Super Bowl. And this is it. And you hate to use, and Sam and I were talking about this, you hate to use the injury excuse, but you know what? Once your quarterback starts getting hurt and your best defensive player and Nick Bosa, like what are you supposed to do there, huh? Brandon Allen, come on down. You got to step up. Look at what Jameis Winston did with the Browns yesterday. Yeah. Brandon Allen's not Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was a guy that was actually, a top pick in the NFL. Hell, a number 1 overall pick in the NFL. Jameis Winston. Yeah, lest we forget, back in 2015, coming off a Florida State championship. Or was that the year prior? That was 2013 you won it, right? Well, that's right. Who'd they get popped by? Was it against Marcus Mariota and the Ducks in that game? And Oregon won by like 40. And then Urban Meyer had the press conference after. That's right. So yeah, Jameis Winston is not the same level as a Brandon Allen or a Josh Dobbs. And yes, the Niners have been saved in the past by some backup quarterback play at times, whether it was Trey Lance when he needed a win, whether it was, again, Brock Purdy and he took the reins and never ran away from it. But sooner or later, the injuries just catch up to you. And right now, it feels like that's just what's happening with the San Francisco 49ers this season. Nick Sorensen, the defensive coordinator, spoke yesterday to the media. He's been under some scrutiny this season, but my lack of faith in this team comes more so from the offensive end than the defensive. But it is clear to see that there needs to be something changed, whether it's the scheme, whether it's the pass rush. I don't know what. Something's got to, more blitzes. I don't know. But here he is talking about why the 49ers are last in the league in blitzing.
Well, I think there's always a time and a place. I'd like to be aggressive. I just think it depends on the situation. I think every game's different. Every situation's different. And, when you have a team that you can keep stuff in front of you and you have guys that you believe in the rush with 4 guys that can go get it, it just depends on the situation in the game.
And Kyle Shanahan spoke to that the other day, just saying, it's hard to run a blitz in a 2-minute drill when you don't have the time, and you don't have the time to adjust, and guys are gassed. You could have time for 1 or 2, but if you keep doing it, you're going to get picked apart. Okay. Well, then what's wrong with the fourth quarter defense as a whole, Nick?
I guess just got to evaluate it all. I mean, I don't think it's one thing. I mean, I look at myself first. So I think I've just continually tried to tap into that and what exactly it is. I think we've been beating it up and talking about it over and over again. I just think we need to coach it better and execute better and just finish better as a team.
I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. That there's nothing to change. We just got to be better. We just got to tighten it up. I get it. You're not doing a whole like Tampa 2 shift, right? You're not going hard press man. You're not shifting everything. You're not suddenly becoming, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense or the Baltimore Ravens defense, or you're sticking with what you know. But you have to add some looks. Like, I look at a guy like Steve Spagnuolo, who's the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. His level of adjusting throughout a game, you could feel it. You could see it on the TV. You could see, he's noticing that this is what the other team's trying to do. They're trying to expose this weakness in our defense. How do we counteract that? Well, let's shift, I don't know, Nick Bolton. Let's put him on, wide receiver X or tight end X, well, whoever. Oh, maybe let's shift Chris Jones over this tackle because he's showing certain tendencies. Something, right? Like, I'm just looking for that with Nick Sorensen. I haven't seen any level of adjusting throughout a given game. And it's been frustrating because I don't think the defense isn't playing that awful. That's the thing. Like, they haven't gotten blown out this season. Not really. They've been in every single game, which is even more frustrating, right? Because it's just like a gut punch every single time you lose a game like you did to the Seahawks or to the Chiefs or to the Cardinals, to the Rams. Like, those ones are brutal. So I'm looking at the fourth quarter and you're ahead in those games. And yeah, you'd like the defense or check that the offense to give you more of a cushion at times, but they were giving you a cushion throughout the game. It's just time for you to step up on a given drive at the end of a game. Now, the special teams is involved in that too in some of the losses, especially the Rams loss, and they don't get off the hook either. It's complimentary football that the 49ers just cannot seem to grasp this season. And on November 22nd, I don't know if they could just all of a sudden, kickstart this thing. Would a Brandon Allen or Josh Dobbs win in Lambeau do that? Potentially. But then I get more concerned about Brock Purdy because I know I'm going to have Brandon Allen, Josh Dobbs. It's not going to be where I want to be, and that's the Super Bowl. But as I've been talking about, maybe the expectation shouldn't be Super Bowl. I think the season would be a success. Hell, he just wins the division at this point. Buying that? 888-957-9570. Or is it still Super Bowl or bust in your eyes? Terrell Owens, again, the Hall of Famer. He was great yesterday. You can find the entire interview on YouTube or the Odyssey app. Download it. It's free. Courtesy of the River Islands guest line. Terrell Owens talking to Bonte and Chasky on, fans wanting to fire Kyle Shanahan. This is what T.O. had to say. Should be good.
Well, fans should stay in their seat and be fans. They're not GMs. That's all I can say. It's easy to say that and want to discard or just uproot a coach because things aren't going the fans' way. But again, like I said, that's why you separate it. There's players, there's football players, there's fans. You come there, you root on your team. Yeah, I understand the fan support. You want your teams to win. You want your players to play the best. But again, stay in your lane. I don't think this is a reason to just uplift and uproot a coach because things aren't going well. It's been an up and down season, but you got to factor in, again, a lot of the injuries, a lot of the new pieces coming in. You can't just write that shit right away. This is not a plug and play. It's not a video game that you can put somebody in and then they can obviously duplicate the ability or the production of somebody that was playing in right before them. That's just not how the game works.
You sure I can't just ask Madden, T.O.? Like, I can just, get the play calls from the actual video game and be like, all right, guys, learn all these plays. This is what we're going to do. I feel like I can do that. Put the headset on, tuck in my shirt. I don't know what kind of head coach I'd be, attire-wise, on the sideline. Would I go Kyle? I'd go like a jacket and the hat. Not a hat guy anymore. Maybe I'd go beanie. I'd go beanie. Sirianni, is he the one that rocks the beanie? Okay. I'm not mad at that. I liked when they rocked the suits, though, back in the day. That was clean. I remember Jack Del Rio tried to bring it back for the Jags for a second, too. He tried to rock the suit. Once the NBA gave up on the suits, everyone's just like, whatever. Doesn't matter anymore. I mean, once Bill Belichick started doing the cutoff sleeve hoodie, none of this really mattered anymore, right? I mean, the guy's kicking everyone's ass every week wearing a cutoff sleeve hoodie like he's Rocky, sparring against the pieces of meat in the freezer. Yeah. I don't think Bill Belichick's coming back, by the way. I think he's staying in media. I think he's probably going to be enjoying what he's doing this year. He might take some calls. I don't think he's going back to the NFL. Now, Mike Vrabel, who's an assistant with the Browns, who I saw yesterday, he's coming back. Is Dion going to make the plunge? They just landed the number 2 rated recruit, in the country at quarterback. Jordan Lewis, I believe, to Colorado. What does that mean? We'll see. But we do know Shedeur Sanders is going. Where's he going to go? The Giants? The Raiders? Is it the Cowboys? I don't know. They just paid all that money to Dak Prescott. Kind of hard to see that happening. But we're up against it. One segment down, 2 more to go. 888-957-9570. I want to get your thoughts, Niner fans. Is it time to panic now with this Brock Purdy injury? Have you been panicked? Have the expectations changed? Or do you feel like this team's just one win away from starting something special potentially? 888-957-9570 on a payday Friday, on a Phil Collins Friday, on a pregame show Friday, 95.7 The Game.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for University Housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many...
Went down, 2 more to go before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They're fired up. This is a massive game for the San Francisco 49ers. It's a massive game for the Green Bay Packers. Any game remaining is honestly big, even if you're a bad team. Like, there's jockeying going on right now. The top 5 picks, hell, top 10 picks. Half the league stinks. So I'm looking at the standings right now as we pull them up, the conference, NFC. And unless you're winning the division, I don't see the Rams. I don't see the Seahawks. I don't see the Niners. I don't see anyone, going on this huge run and vying for that wild card spot. Now, I could be wrong. I could be. It's happened in the past. It's rare. I'm wrong, but it happens. But you got the Commanders, you got the Packers, you got the Vikings, you got the Eagles, you got the Lions, and then we'll see, right? Cardinals. If I had to put my money down right now to win this division, and I know a lot of people, I think Ross Tucker was one of them, joined the show earlier. A lot of people that haven't watched this team on a week in and week out basis would say, you know what, the Niners will figure it out. They were the NFC representative in the Super Bowl last year. They'll figure it out, right? They have to. I'm going with the team with the best quarterback and the team that's been there and a team that's won big games. And I know they just had a disappointing loss recently. And they bounced back last week to improve to 5-5. But I'm taking the Rams if I had to bet right now on who's going to win this division. Because I'm taking Matt Stafford, who's the best quarterback in this division. I'm taking Cooper Kupp, who's the best wide receiver in this division. And I'm taking Sean McVay, who's the best coach in this division. And I think that's what Mike and Hayward wants to talk about next, is the coaching of the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. What's going on, Mike? You're on the pregame show. How you doing, man?
I keep saying this, but Shanahan was not change his system. He got these new guys he drafted, new running backs. He doesn't want to rotate the running backs in and out. They need some kind of big play stuff going on. They got a receiver from Florida. Use the guy. They keep going with what they got from last year, but everybody, that's not working. Those guys are, this is a whole different thing. He got these younger guys playing. McCaffrey don't have to run the ball 15 times. Okay, he got running backs that can run. Change it up. He got the same look, man. But Shanahan, he cannot coach. He's stuck on his system, and he blames it on the players, and he don't look at himself. He's not making any changes, even defensively. Sorensen don't even know what to do with the defense. Come on, man. Everybody keep talking about it. Everybody knows Shanahan.
So what, Mike? What do you think's the solution here? What if Shanahan's not using his players properly? What needs to happen?
I think he needs to go down, throw the ball down the field more with the guy from Florida. He's a big play guy, and they drafted him. Let him play. Okay, people say, well, you can't win with rookies. Well, yes, you can. If you're 5-5 and you're trying to win your division, those guys can help you. And he's not using them. He's not.
Okay. Fair enough. That's Mike and Hayward right now. He wants to see more Ricky Pearsall in the downfield passing attack. The problem with Ricky Pearsall is he couldn't get open last week. That's great. Hey, you want to attack the numbers, you want to attack the middle of the field, you just want to throw it deep, baby, a la Al Davis and Ken Stabler back in the day. That's great. Your receivers got to get open. And it's one thing for Juwan Jennings to throw a jump ball to him. He is a very large and athletic freak. Not the fastest, but he can get separation. He can box out guys. But Ricky Pearsall, he's not that big. He's not super fast, but he's got some agility. I mean, this guy's a first-round pick, so he's got some intangibles, but it's not like he's Megatron. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Cooper Kupp. He's a slot receiver. And that, by the way, running outside routes like that requires your quarterback's arm not to be injured. And right now, Brock Purdy's dealing with a sore shoulder. So no, I don't want them to be thrown outside the numbers, especially in this game against the Packers, which, again, makes life tougher for the 49ers, because if I'm the Packers, my game plan is we're going to force you to throw down the field, especially in this weather. We're going to force you to throw the football. We are going to shut down the run. No McCaffrey, no Mason. We're going to shut that down, and we dare you to throw outside the numbers with the sore shoulder in the elements. So that is what the 49ers are facing. Is Jair Alexander, by the way, that's the Packers' best defensive player. Torn PCL could sideline Packers Alexander longer. Oh, so there you go. So he's out. That was yesterday. PCL tear for Jair Alexander. Brutal. I guess he re-aggravated it. It was already slightly torn. So that's a break for the 49ers in this. And I don't like injuries, especially when this late in the season, but this is what happens. Niners are dealing with injuries too. They're not going to feel sorry for the other team. So no Jair Alexander. That's a break. Now, can they capitalize on that? We'll see. Is it Brandon Allen? Is it Josh Dobbs? Greg Cosell, the breaker of film, as I call him, on our 95.7 The Game, NFL Insider, talked about Purdy and his struggles and what he's seeing from them and this passing attack this season.
Yeah, I think in this game in particular last week, he did not see the field very well. There were throws to be made that he left on the field that were downfield throws. I can't tell you why that he's not seeing it, but he has not been as decisive. There were specific plays that I made note of as I watched the tape where the route concept was there, the read was clean, and for whatever reason, he just didn't process it the right way, and he ended up not throwing balls that he should throw. So he did not play very well this week, and the number you just gave this past week was predominantly on him. He just did not see it the way he needed to see it.
So the timing, the anticipation, it's an uneasiness in the pocket right now. He doesn't feel comfortable in the pocket. Let's just call it what it is. He's looking to scramble. He's looking to use his legs. He does not look like a quarterback that wants to be in the pocket right now. And that's a problem. Because he needs to stay in the pocket and deliver. And guys are getting open, according to Greg Cosell. Deebo Samuel was getting open. There were throws to be made, but he was unsure of himself. Does that go back to the shoulder injury? Well, there's something going on. Is it mentally? I don't know. Does he need to scramble more? Is he scrambling too much? I can go for some scrambled eggs right now. Terrell Owens talking about Brock Purdy scrambling.
As a quarterback, I mean, you're only going to go and do things that you're comfortable with. And if the line, if the protection is breaking down, if receivers aren't getting open, again, he's used to a certain caliber of receivers that he's been playing with throughout the course of the year and getting open. And if those guys aren't getting open for whatever reason, then he either has to get out of the pocket, try to make some plays with his feet. If those guys are open, of course, he's going to throw the ball. I don't think he's just running just to be running. I'm sure there's a lot of things that factors into why he's taking off more so than ever now.
888-957-9570. Are you with Mike and Hayward? Do they need to start throwing the ball more? Do they need to just get back and dominate the ground game? Is that even possible with a potentially compromised Christian McCaffrey? Or do they need to go to Jordan Mason? There's so many questions that need to be answered this Sunday. And for better or worse, they're going to be answered, right? We're going to find out a lot about this team. We're going to find out a lot about the Packers. We're right. Thanksgiving's next week. Season's going to be over before you know it. And the 49ers might have just had a lost year. It might just be a lost year. That's what happens after you lose Super Bowls, by the way. Like, this is kind of the norm. I know we all like to think that they could have just gone back. That's not what historically, we talked about it all offseason. It just doesn't happen that way. Oh, but this could be different. No. History, is destined to repeat itself over and over and over again. And in the NFL, it almost always does. All right, we're up against it. We're going to take a quick break here. 2 segments down, one more to go. We'll put a bow on this conversation. Niners-Packers, who you got? Packers, 3-point favorites at home. If this was a neutral site, it'd be a pick 'em. You get 3 points for being the home team. So 888-957-9570. You like the Niners? You like the Packers? If Brock Purdy can't play in this game, do you want Dobbs? Do you want Brandon Allen? Does it matter? Do you want Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback? God, please God, no. All that and more coming up next on 95.7 The Game.
How's your home handling hot and chilly weather these days? For a comfortable home, you should consider...
Nation, it's Lindy Waters. You're listening to the Pregame Show with Joe Spadoni on 95.7 The Game.
God, sing it, Phil. Phil Collins Friday, Payday Friday, Football Friday, Pregame Show Friday on 95.7 The Game. We got one more segment before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They're going to be all Niners, Packers, but don't forget, we got a Warriors game on tonight, folks. Warriors Pelicans in Nolans, Smoothie King Arena, Center, whatever the hell you want to call it. 4:30 tip. That means Warriors live starting at 3:30. I'm assuming Willard and Dibbs would be on that one, cutting their show a little bit. And the voice of the Warriors, Tim Roy, being on the call at 4:30. So, Warriors, Pelicans. Warriors look to improve to 12-3. Pelicans stink. They're 4-12. Not good. And we look at the Western Conference standings right now, because why not? You know, we're looking at it in the NFL. But you got the Warriors there at 11-3. You got the Rockets at 12-4. Check that. Thunder at 12-4. Rockets at 11-5. And the Lakers at 10-5. Lakers with a late loss yesterday. They had a 6-game winning streak snapped by Franz Wagner and the Orlando Magic. So, tight Western Conference, as it's been my entire life pretty much. The West is the best, folks. That's just how it is in the NBA. And we all got all this East Coast bias, but it's the West that dominates come basketball time. Always has, always will. Oh, but the Celtics won. Great. First title. 10 plus, decade plus, 2 titles in the last 40 years, whatever it's been. Come on. All right. Back to the Niners. From the Comcast Biz text line, 888-957-9570, and you can hit us up, call or text. Who do you got? Who do you like this Sunday? It doesn't have to be Niners related. Hey, it could be you could have a pick from any game, to be quite honest with you. It's a free-for-all. I feel great. So let's be talking anything football related right now. I call in with your Eagles-Rams takes. That's actually a big game. Niners should be paying attention to that one on Sunday Night Football. And you're going to be feeling either happy or sad after that loss. So, or win. See, I heard he said loss. I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. I'm not saying the Niners can't win this game. If Brock Purdy can't go, though, and he's dealing with right shoulder soreness, I just find it very difficult seeing this team win. I just am. Not when you don't have your starting quarterback. Your running back, who's a future Hall of Famer, is compromised. He's trying to get back into shape. Nick Bosa is dealing with an oblique injury or an upper body injury, as Cam Inman put it yesterday when he joined the morning roast. I don't know. Speaking of that, here is Cam Inman talking about Bosa's injury.
It's an upper body. It's not like the core groin area that he had to have surgery on back in 2018. So, I mean, that's the good news. But, it obviously is hurting him. I mean, we saw in Tampa, it was the right side, and almost after every play, he was, grabbing at it. And then this last game, he gets a sack, and then he stays in for one more play, and it's the other side. And so, Nick Bosa's got muscles all over the place, right? And he knows his body, down to every little fiber. So he knows what he's going through. I thought it was encouraging that he said yesterday it's feeling a little better. And, he was able to play through it last week. But at the same time, if this guy is whole upper torso, he can't twist at all. And he's not just going to be bull rushing straight ahead into Jordan Love. It gives me a lot of concern whether he's going to be available against Green Bay.
Concerned about his availability against Green Bay. God, this season has just been exhausting. With the amount of injuries, with all that's taken place, with the hold-ins and the holdouts, it's just talking about this team. It's always something. And yes, from a sports talk radio perspective, it's great. But if you're just a fan of this team, good God. Yeah, how fast can I switch to the Warriors season right now? At least they're winning, right? At least I can expect some happiness from Stephen Curry. Hell, Draymond Green right now. They're 11-3. They only lost 3 times. Niners lost 5 already. God. Chris in San Jose. Wow, the lines are lining up already. We got 9 minutes. Hey, keep them coming. I'm not mad at it. We got Miguelito. We got Chris in San Jose. Let's hit up our guy Chris in San Jose. He might be taking over pre-gamer of the year. Oreo Cookie got off to a strong start, but I guess his His schedule shifted, so he has to call into the morning roast now. That's going to affect the numbers. Sorry, Oreo Cookie. It is what it is. Chris, San Jose, what's going on, man?
Spadoni! Listen, I'm just trying to get in where I fit in, and if I fit in as a morning roaster, let's do it, brother. Listen, we got Green Bay this week. We got the Bills next week. We got the Lions later on in the year. We got the Rams, the Cardinals. We lost to them already. I'm just trying to think ahead. Don't want to be super negative, but I just see us on the precipice of a full rebuild. Now, whether it's, I know we've talked about this before, whether it's Kyle and John to lead us through that rebuild, okay, they've had a lot of success. The grass isn't always greener. I understand that, but I've been saying this about Deebo. I've been saying this about Kittle. These guys are getting older. It's not like their track record is perfect. They're frequently injured, frequently banged up. You got Trent Williams on his last legs. You got Nick Bosa, who's been constantly hurt again. So I just look at this team and I see us going in there, Brock Purdy or not. I find it, just like you, hard-pressed to think that we're going to win that game on the road in Green Bay. Then I find it even more hard-pressed to think we're going to beat the Bills. And I just, what are we then? 5-7, looking up 2 games back, maybe 3 games back in our division. And I don't know, Spadoni. I think it's about to be full rebuild time. And if they don't start it, we're going to have the same thing happen next year, and then it's going to be a year later for the rebuild. It's going to be a whole thing, Spadoni. Let's have a fantastic Friday.
Hey, bro.
And let's get this W tonight, baby. You have a wonderful weekend.
There you go. That's Chris in San Jose. Joe Shasky joining us here. Chris and Miguelito will get to you in a second. A makeshift cross-jover for those pre-gamers that know, and if you don't, you know now. The cross-jover with Joe Shasky and Joe Spadoni. What's going on, Joe?
So I'm listening to him talk, and it's funny because last night I was on the call with Sam Lubin. I go, you'd be surprised how many of my boys, after hearing about the Brock Purdy news, hit me up and said, dude, I feel like we're like closer to a complete reset than we are like competing for the Super Bowl. And I'm like, what? Just because he's hurt for a week? There's like, no, like think about the fallout. Think about the fallout of losing this game. He doesn't play, hypothetically. Yeah. You lose this one, you're losing against Buffalo, right? Like that's what it feels like, at least as of right now. And I know the NFL is its own world. Deebo gone. Does Trent shut it down? What do you do with Fred Warner's injury? Nick Bosa? He needs surgery, clearly. He's got double obliques, bilateral obliques, okay? CMC, what do you do with him, right? Like, Brandon Ayuk is probably hurt all the way through at some point of next year. He's not starting the year off ready to go. No. Like, we can all acknowledge that. Does Drake Greenlaw even come back? There are so many questions. What do you do with Purdy? Do you really, really want to give this guy $60, $65 million a year and reset everything around him? What do you do on defense? Do you do a complete overhaul of the scheme? Well, the thing is with Brock Purdy, and we'll start there first, like they've kind of painted themselves into this corner now where they kind of have to pay him, right? Like they said all along, this is our guy. You have the owner saying he's going to reset the quarterback market. Like they have put themselves in the position where they now have to pay the guy. They've talked the talk. They got to do it now. What else are you going to pivot to? You're not getting one of these quarterbacks. We've already seen that. They're not trading up for a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. So they're going to pay Brock unless, and I floated this out a couple days ago, and I saw Matt Barrows talk to Steiny and Goo yesterday. He floated out, but Matt Barrows much more respected in the NFL community than your boy Joe Spadoni, apparently, because I got just name called left and right. I said, what if Aaron Rodgers is available? You don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to be sniffing around that and saying, you know what? Maybe we play Brock just like another prove-it deal or something like that and say, you know what? Aaron, come on down. Can we just acknowledge this? Whatever Jed York says doesn't... Don't think it's crazy. No, look, he's the owner, so I'm not trying to say that his word doesn't matter. But clearly, Kyle kind of does what Kyle wants to do. There was a point in time where he said, hey, if we want to, we'll pay for 2 quarterbacks. Remember, Jed said that. He said that. Yeah. And they had the highest paid quarterback room with Trey Lance backing him up. This team has pivoted from Jimmy to Trey to Brock. Like, nothing would surprise me. Now, that being said, it's not likely, the scenario that I'm painting, but it is out there. Yeah, the rebuild aspect of it, though, I'm just not buying completely because they still have so much young talent on the team. Like, they're hurt right now. I get it. And it might look different if they don't come back to where they were. But again, Dominic Pooney's a hit.
You just paid Diamond Lenore. He's been a baller this year.
No doubt.
This draft class has been low-key really good for this team right now. Unfortunately, that they have to play so many of them, and they're relying on them so often, and they're making mistakes, stuff like that. Ricky Pearsall showed flashes. So it's not the end of the world right now, but I think it's time to start thinking about the new iteration of the 49ers after this year. This might be
rebuild's not the right
last run of this current iteration
that's
of them.
more what I was going. Yeah. So rebuild's probably not the right word. Rebuild means we're firing coaches and we're just completely tanking and we're going to start completely fresh. Like I'm trying to think like what New England did, right? But they also had nothing. They had nothing in the cupboard. Reset is probably the better word.
Yeah.
Reset is probably the better word. And I mean, again, Purdy, Bosa, what do you do with him? The surgery thing, he needs something. He's hurt. He's legitimately hurt. Greenlaw, what do you do with him? CMC's workload. Do you just shut him down? Deebo Samuel, what happens there? Fred Warner, is it worth shutting him down with that ankle? We know he's a gladiator. Why put extra miles on a linebacker that is an all-time player when that position is as close to running back in terms of shelf life as any other? You reference Pearsall and Cowan. I want to see them play. Like, that's something I want to see down the stretch. Charvarius Ward's finished with this team, even though we feel awful for what's going on in his family.
Yeah.
What happens with Trent? Does he play out the rest of the year? Does he shut it down? Does he come back? Like, I don't know. I have a lot of questions. This game, for their season, and the life and breathing life into the lungs, it's a must-win.
Well, you're looking at the standings right now. It's just the Lions, the Eagles, the Vikings, Packers, all those teams have so much breathing room in comparison. Hell, the Commanders are 7-4, and I think they might be going on a recent skid here. So maybe, just maybe, there could be a couple teams, which is, I wasn't going to think this, but there could be a couple teams from the NFC West to make it. Now that I'm thinking about it, the Commanders might take a slide. Now I'm projecting a little bit here. Terry McLaurin didn't look great, right? Like, there's questions about Cliff Kingsbury and his offense getting just caught up to. We've seen that before in the NFL, right? When he was the head coach over at Arizona. So we'll see. But to your point, if they lose this game, there's going to start being some questions about, all right, maybe this just isn't our year, kind of a thing.
Well, and I think this is natural in sports. This does happen. So I would call it, if you lose, the fallout is very intriguing.
Yes.
It's very intriguing.
Are you a big Fallout fan of the video game, by the way?
I'm a Fallout boy.
On 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco, on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by...